I believe everybody these days has to try to be a minimalist. But before we get into explaining how to be a minimalist, why to be a minimalist, what are the benefits of being a minimalist, we need to understand first what the word minimalist means. Linguistically speaking, the word means somebody that does less of something. And that's not according to the dictionary, that's just according to what I think the word means. Thing. Linguistically speaking, it might mean somebody that does of less of something because, minimalize and that kind of stuff. Second thing is the new meaning that the word has acquired over the years that it's been coupled with the word. And whenever somebody mentions the word minimalize in a conversation or minimalist in a conversation, the first meaning that occurs to the listener, is the new meaning that's been coupled with the word, which is somebody that consumes less media, somebody that is not as present or as active on in the digital life. So that's the new meaning that the word has acquired over the years, that is basically more common than the original meaning itself. All right. Second thing is, why would somebody want to be a minimalist? I mean, everybody now these days is using social media, right? I want to be in the digital space as well. I don't want to be left out. I want to be actively in that zone of videos, people chatting with people over the internet, texting and that neat stuff. A lot of people would argue that it's done a lot of good. It's connected people across the oceans. It connected family members that are separated apart, that are far apart from one another. It connected people in the workspace way better and that kind of stuff. And I'm not denying, I'm not dropping any of that, because I believe that social media is a double-edged sword that everybody has to be careful when using, because it's a really sharp double-edged sword on its two edges. The one edge that I mentioned, which is the beneficial part of social media, connecting people, shortening the distance between people and that kind of stuff, that's a really good part of it, and I'm not dropping any of that. But the dark part of it, which is really, really dark, is the part where they promote consumerism, where they promote a lot of other bad stuff that if you are not cautious enough, you are gonna fall on your face. You're gonna basically slip into that slippery route so badly. So you want to be careful with that part. Basically, when trying to be a minimalist, you are gonna consume less media, right? But continuing, why would somebody want to be, because I have some notes here that I want to go through, and that's why I keep looking at my piece of paper. Basically, I want to mention a couple of things for why would somebody want to be a minimalist. One of them is, some people like not to follow the flock. And since everybody these days is following the trend of using social media, being overly active on Facebook, being overly active on Instagram, scrolling through short videos, everybody is doing that. The majority of people are doing that, So some people would like to take a different route, who take a retrograde route and make their own paths. To be, instead of everybody being a maximalist, I'm not even sure if that's a word, but you have to look it up on your own. I'm going to be looking it up after finishing filming. I pray to God that this is a word. So everybody is being a maximalist. Some people would like to take a different route, to go in the other direction and be minimalists, right? So that's one reason. Another reason is, that's really, really important to mention, and that's really, really important to think about, which is protecting two of the most important assets that you have, which are so, so precious for everybody. And I believe not a single person would deny their importance, their significance in somebody's life, because they are first somebody's life, which is first, like your time. It protects your time. Being a minimalist protects your time from slipping away from your hands. And second, it protects your attention span, right? So the first thing, which is your time, a lot of people on YouTube promote over consumerism, both on the material sense, on the material level, and on the digital level. The material level, which they promote consuming, and they basically portray that somehow you can buy happiness by material. Like, material is the manifestation of happiness, and the more you buy, the more you're happy. And that is the promotion of over consumerism in on the material level. And on the digital level, they try, the algorithm of Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, the algorithm is designed to suck you in, to make you slip into this rapid, endless hole of scrolling mindlessly. So these are two things that they promote, which consumes your time. You're worn out at the end of the scrolling session, and every negative emotion in the world is accumulated on top of your head, right? And that is one of the major negatives of using social media, is also that you start comparing yourself with others' lives. That is not a fair comparison. You don't do it fairly and squarely. You don't do it correctly. So you start comparing yourself with somebody of, like, not your age, somebody that didn't live your life, somebody that has a different mind, somebody that has a different family. So you start to draw an unfair, an unjust comparison between you and somebody else, which leaves you depressed at the end of that comparison. You basically never win, because you try to compare your whole life with its negatives and its positives with somebody's little frame of positivity. So you, of course, are going to be left out in complete loss, because that person is trying to show the positive part of his life or of her life. They're not going to shoot their negative part, the negative part of their life, basically because you are not going to be interested to watch that. So that comparison leaves you so depressed, so senseless, so everything bad. So I'm not going to try to mention every single bad emotion that you would feel, because you've been there, you tried multiple times, it's been hurtful, it's been painful, and it's been depressing. So I'm not going to mention all the details, all the nitty gritty about that, and we're going to jump into the next one, which is your focus. A lot of, if not all, platforms these days try to push you towards consuming short videos, because one, you don't feel that they're not much, and however much you consume of these videos, you're not going to feel that you consume much. So you're going to continue scrolling, feel time passing. So first, it slips away your time, and second, it takes away your attention span. One of the most important things that you basically obtain once you become a minimalist, which is inner peace. You stop comparing yourself with others, because there isn't a lot of them that you basically get exposed to randomly, out of the blue. The algorithms like just slams it onto your face, like throws those videos onto your face without you intentionally choosing to have them. So it's gonna be more of something of inner peace. You're gonna attain more inner peace. And these are some of the benefits, some of the things that I would mention for somebody, some of the motivations for somebody to want to become a minimalist, but they're not all. The reasons might vary from a person to person, and you might have your own reasons. I might have my own reasons. Him or her might have their own reasons, right? So everybody is different. And for that, we're gonna jump onto the next part, which is how to become a minimalist. I have a couple of ways here. One of them is try to eliminate your social media bundle. I call it a social media bundle because you have them all in one folder, probably on your phone. So that is a bundle, right, of social media apps. So first, eliminate the social media bundle that you have on your phone, on your desktop or whatever. And what I mean by that is basically deleting out all the social media apps that or any of the apps that applies to any of the apps or any of the games that take away your time without you realizing it and without you reaping any benefit from it. So you're going to be deleting every single app that applies to these criteria, like Facebook, Instagram, and whatnot. These are some social media apps, some examples, and especially TikTok. That is the devil of them all. That is the most demonized, and it's actually demonic. That's the most demonic one of them all, but everybody is following its footsteps, unfortunately, by creating a lot of shorts and compelling these shorts onto the user. But it's not the topic of our video today. So one of the ways for you to become a minimalist is eliminating or abolishing the social media bundle that you have on your phone, and selectively choosing the apps, the platforms that you basically are going to be spending most of your time on. And third is being more intentional. Having more intentionality whilst approaching these apps is really important, something that you have to put in mind, because with intentionality, that's even a word, I'm not sure, with intentionality comes good things. You are going to be more intentional who to watch, when to watch, and why to watch. So these things have to be there in your mind while using an app or whatever. And third thing is blocking out a time for these apps. For example, you would choose to use WhatsApp, I don't know, 30 minutes per day or 15 minutes per day at that particular time during the day. So you're going to be more input times. You're not going to be aimless in the way that you approach these apps. And one example, if I am talking about minimalism, have I done anything minimalistic recently, or have I done ever anything minimalistic that's supporting my video or anything? One recent example is the 20-day challenge that I'm finishing today. I basically started this challenge on the 11th of June, and I decided that I'm going to be not using WhatsApp. I'm going to be completely throwing them off my face, like WhatsApp, Telegram, and HelloTalk. And these are the apps that can most of the time that I spend on my phone. If you were to look at my screen time before the challenge, which is, I'm going to put it here, I'm not sure where to put it because I can't decide what space I have on the video, but it's going to be somewhere on the screen. You can see that it used to be between 15 hours to 20 hours per week. That was my screen time before the challenge. And after the challenge, going into the challenge, 10 days later, or I don't know how many days later, I took another screenshot of my screen time, which was around this. I can't remember what it was, but it was somewhere 5 hours or something. So my time, or like 2 hours, I can't remember exactly how many hours it was. The point is that it dropped drastically because these apps were taking the most part of my screen time. HelloTalk alone was taking around 50% or 70%, like 60% of my screen time. So literally, if my screen time was 20 hours per week, my screen time for HelloTalk alone would be 10 hours or 11 hours, or in some extreme cases it would be 12 hours because I used to spend a lot of time on HelloTalk. And second app would come on the list would be WhatsApp, and that is the app that I would use for, I don't know, 4 hours per week or something like that. It didn't used to be too long compared to HelloTalk, but it's still a lot from my perspective. The way that I perceive it is just too much for a texting app. What do I do in there? Like, right? Especially that I don't have a lot of people on WhatsApp that I would chat with on a regular basis, because I'm not some kind of a celebrity or some kind of a famous person that has a lot of contacts, have chatting in and out, you know. So I don't have a lot of people on there, so it shouldn't take that much time. So I decided that I'm going to be blocking out these apps. I'm going to be cut off from these apps for 20 days, so that I can have full control, and be able to harness this wild horse that I basically am trying to harness. This has to be harnessed. This has to be bridled, right? And one thing that I would like also to share is basically something that I try to do is whenever I find a hole in the way that I approach these apps, I try to patch it. And that's a pretty good metaphor, is when you try to find a hole, you try to patch it, right? What do I mean? A hole is basically something that you feel tempted with. Basically like scrolling or spending too much time texting with somebody uselessly. That's basically the hole that you try to patch, right? So you try to patch it with a counter action that is basically going to be the cure or the piece of cloth that you're going to be patching the hole with. So that's what I decided to do in these 20 days is basically I'm going to be not using WhatsApp, Telegram, and HelloTalk entirely. And not that I was using Telegram that much, but I decided to in sake of it. So today I am finishing the challenge. I didn't use HelloTalk, I didn't use WhatsApp, I didn't use Telegram. Telegram, I used it once, just for, to be honest, like I used it once because I was looking for one of the Harry Potter's movies, like the third part, which was, what is it called? Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I didn't find it anywhere on the internet because I don't have the patience to look for movies, honestly. If I make a search and I don't find it, I just forget about it. I'm not that kind of a movie geek, movie buff kind of person. So I decided to go on Telegram because most of the time I watch the movies that I watched or the cartoons or whatever they are on Telegram, but I didn't find it, so I instantly got out of Telegram again. And another one for that was the only time that I used Telegram during the 20 days. Another one for WhatsApp, I used it twice. One of them because a person was calling, like he called me, or like she called me, I don't know, because it wasn't a contact, it wasn't a number in my contact. So I decided to go on WhatsApp to check who was that, but when they were calling, but I didn't realize the call. All right, so I couldn't catch them, I couldn't catch up to the call. So I decided to go back out of WhatsApp. And another one, which was when I was recharging the internet balance for my brother-in-law. So I went, it wasn't when I was charging. No, it was when I was getting the result of the exams of my niece, right? And I was sending him the link and stuff. I tried to use the email, but they are not the type of email he's not the type of email type of person, right? He doesn't know how to use that email and that kind of old-fashioned type of stuff. So I decided, I tried, but I couldn't make him use the email. So I decided to go on WhatsApp, send them the link, send them the screenshots and that kind of stuff, and then I went back out. And those were the only 2 times that I used WhatsApp for. And for HelloTalk, I entirely abandoned HelloTalk for the 20 days, to the point that it sent me an email telling me that so many people visited my profile trying to hook me in again, or another one where it sent, come and enjoy your time in this voice room, a lot of people are blah blah blah, not important stuff, but I wasn't tempted by that still. So I completed the 20-day challenge today. I'm going to be back on these apps starting from tomorrow. So the point is, now what is going to be next from now on? Like from this point on, what am I going to be doing with these apps? First, I'm going to be blocking out a time, the tips that I just pointed out in the section where I was talking about how to become a minimalist. All right, so I'm going to be applying intentionality. I'm going to be applying blocking out a time for WhatsApp, HelloTalk, and Telegram, and I'm going to be applying any useless apps that I have on my phone that possibly takes a lot of time are going to be deleted, which there isn't actually. And I guess that is going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up, and if you have anything to say, anything extra, any oppositions, any agreements, drop a comment down below. But try to be gentle with the way that you drop it, because it might, break. Because that was lame. I have to stop. Just put it gently in the comment section, because it's fragile. I just have to stop this. All right, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Hopefully gonna be soon. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.